Last night, Washington, D.C. descended into chaos. Sirens, National Guard, streets locked down, while Donald Trump was throwing a Great Gatsby-themed "A Little Party Never Killed Nobody" bash at Mar-a-Lago. As millions of Americans faced losing health care and food assistance, Trump and his MAGA inner circle were popping champagne, laughing, and dressing their kids as $100 bills. All on your dime. Meanwhile, the government is shut down, people can't pay rent, and Trump's bragging about gold bathrooms and marble floors. And now, as outrage explodes, Trump just did something even worse. The cameras caught it all, and it's pure madness. Tonight's story is simple and damning. While Washington, D.C. reeled and ordinary Americans braced for another blow, Donald Trump and his inner circle chose decadence over duty. That contrast, the chaos in our streets and the celebration in their ballroom, tells you everything about power without accountability and politics without responsibility. Here's the picture. In the Navy Yard area, tensions flare, sirens cut the night, and people worry about what tomorrow brings. And at the exact same time, down in Palm Beach, the would-be strongman throws a Great Gatsby-themed Halloween bash, literally named "A Little Party Never Killed Nobody," on the public dime, with senators, cabinet figures, and MAGA royalty preening under chandeliers as a shutdown grinds on. That's not optics, it's a message. Because while Americans live paycheck to paycheck, while families count pills to stretch their prescriptions and ask whether SNAP will load on the card at month's end, the Trump machine laughs, poses, and posts. The shutdown isn't some abstract beltway drama. It's missed meals, postponed chemo, and rent due with no cushion. We're told there's no money for nutrition benefits, no urgency for healthcare subsidies, but there's always time for a gilded party and a photo op. Listen to how they talk when they think the room belongs to them. Get the press out, we're going to boogie all night. That's not just tacky, it's contempt. It's the ruling class sneer that says your struggles are the entertainment backdrop to their excess. The Great Gatsby ends in a car wreck. This movement starts by flooring the gas while the country's tied to the hood. And then, like a cartoon drawn by a hedge fund, Eric and Lara Trump put their kids in costumes made of money, all while standing before palatial facades and posting "No Kings." You couldn't storyboard a clearer confession. Royalty cosplay disguised as populism, virtue signaling while flaunting the spoils. It's a moral selfie from a dynasty that calls itself anti-elite as it bathes in gold. Every authoritarian project has the same core bargain. We take everything. You take the blame. When the lights go out and the checks bounce, it's never their fault. Just ask them. They stumble through a sentence, pin the fallout on their enemies, and move on to the next indulgence. It's not governance. It's grievance with a motorcade. And when the chaos gets loud enough, they reach for something louder. You'll find out very soon. Trump teases about resuming nuclear tests. As if national security were a reality TV reveal, an explosive distraction to replace a policy failure. Think about that. People are worried about rent and insulin, and he's dangling mushroom cloud masculinity to change the subject. That's not leadership. That's a show. The pattern doesn't stop at home. Overseas, by their own critics on the center-left and by basic economic math, Trump's stagecraft keeps turning into surrender. No documents, no signed deals, a lot of "we'll see," and a trailing economy that's already coughing under the weight of incompetence and cronyism. When governors say they were embarrassed watching a U.S. president get played, believe them. The world knows the difference between strength and swagger. Back here, the human stakes are blunt. 20 million Americans at risk of losing coverage, and the president's not at the table. Democrats show up with pen and paper. MAGA leadership shrugs, says later, and books the ballroom. Healthcare policy is boring until it's your kid's inhaler, your parents' insulin, your CT scan. Boredom is a luxury. Most people don't have it. And when the time comes to own the work, the speaker points across the aisle. Where are the Democrats? While his own caucus is sent home and the House calendar looks like a part-time internship. That's not serious. That's sabotage with press releases. You can't shut down the lights, lock the doors, and then fault the fire department for not responding fast enough. Look at the feed. Marble renovations, gold faucets, East Wing ballrooms, an aesthetic of power standing in for the practice of it. Authoritarian movements always mistake opulence for authority. They think if the fixtures shine, the facts don't matter. But you can't plate over the price of groceries. You can't gild away a benefits card that reads insufficient. Let's be crystal clear about the through line, because it runs from the Navy Yard to Palm Beach to your kitchen table. The MAGA project exists to protect the privilege of a few by exhausting the faith of the many. It says government is broken, breaks it on purpose, and then sells you a gold-leafed sink as proof they're making it beautiful again. It uses culture war fog to hide the hand reaching into your pocket. It wraps neglect in a flag and calls it patriotism. That's the con. Here's how the con works in practice. Act 1, you inflame a shutdown. You target the very programs people use every day. SNAP, Medicaid, subsidies that keep premiums within reach. Because destabilizing those lifelines destabilizes the idea that public institutions can help. Then you blame the other side for the very gridlock you engineered, trusting that people are too exhausted to track the votes, the calendars, the gavels. Keep it muddy. Keep them tired. Act 2. You launder decadence into defiance. Throw the party. Pose with the money costumes. Troll the press with no kings while brand building a dynasty. Post the marble. Announce the ballroom. It's an image factory producing the lie that power is its own justification. If people are angry, great. That's engagement. If they're hopeless, even better. That's surrender.
Are you talking about literally resuming underground nuclear detonation tests?
You'll find out very soon, but we're going to do some testing, yeah. Other countries do it. If they're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Okay, you can't clarify whether you will resume.
I'm not going to say yet. I mean, I know exactly what we're doing, where we're doing it, but other countries are doing it, and if other countries do it, we do it.
And threaded through all of it is the same disdain for guardrails, rules, norms, independent agencies, the quiet professionals who keep a big country on its feet. Attack them, replace them, flood the zone with nonsense. If the shutdown drags into a hunger crisis, rebrand it as tough love. If nuclear testing becomes a headline, call it strength. If a trade trip yields nothing, claim a handshake counts as a contract. Talk fast, never stop. But reality has a stubborn way of breaking through. You can hear it in the clip from the Navy Yard. You can see it in the panic at the pharmacy when the copay jumps. You can feel it in a school cafeteria when the deliveries get weird and the menu shrinks. These are not cable news abstractions. They are lives. They are ours.
I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. Watching the President of the United States in front of Xi, we're good. I mean, he was negotiating away this country in the first 5 minutes of the photo op. He came back with nothing. He got played by President Xi.
He says he got a good deal.
He said that. How many trade deals? 90 in 90 days? How many have you read and reviewed? How many have been signed? 0. His policy is press release. And the fact that you and I will be paying more for toys this Christmas, and we are already paying more for Halloween, bears truth to my assertion of the recklessness of his policies. He's wrecking this country. The jobs market is weak. Inflation is starting to creep back up. This is unprecedented to see in such a short period of time this kind of destruction to the progress we were experiencing that he inherited.
So what do we do with this moment? First, refuse the spectacle. Don't let gold fixtures distract from empty pantries. Don't let a Gatsby costume smother the sound of a shuttered clinic. Call things by their names. Blaming your opponents while you hold the gavel is cowardice. Building ballrooms during a shutdown is corruption of priorities. Teasing nuclear tests to goose the headlines is cynicism with consequences.
Where is the President of the United States now? He's overseas. It's important to be overseas, but hold on. Don't you think it's more important to address the domestic crisis of his own making right now?
One side's not even talking.
when 20 million Americans' health care is about to be ripped away. The other side, the Democrats, are there to talk and negotiate and try to figure out a solution.
And Donald Trump quite literally doesn't give a damn that people's insurance, health insurance, is going to be lost or tripled because he, in his big, beautiful bill, just did the biggest cuts to Medicaid in American history. Forgive me for the long-windedness. God bless the Democrats for standing up on all these things and being willing to fight for these things.
Second, keep receipts. That's why clips matter, not as viral outrage snacks, but as evidence. Evidence that the celebration happened while the city shook. Evidence that the shutdown danger to SNAP and healthcare was real. Evidence that the speaker shut the door and then railed at the hallway. Evidence that those who promised to fight for forgotten Americans forgot them the moment the band struck up. Third, defend the boring work. Budgets are boring until they aren't. Hearings are tedious until a cut turns into a crisis. The rule of law is slow until the alternative is chaos in the street and chaos in the bloodstream. Democracy isn't a velvet rope. It's a public bench. It only works if we keep showing up and insisting the bench be there tomorrow. I know some people hear all this and think, both sides. No, both parties have their flaws, but only one movement in this story shut down the lights and then took a victory lap under gold fixtures. Only one movement dressed its heirs in money and sold it as a joke. Only one movement thinks governance is a mashup of grievance and glitter. We can disagree on policy. We should. But we can't disagree on whether the lights should be on.
The limits have been reached here. And what are the Democrats doing today? Where are the Democrats? Are they in the Senate today? No, they're out campaigning. While critical SNAP benefits run dry, the Democrats have skipped town. They've abandoned their post in the Senate, and the reason that's so important and noteworthy for the American people is the Senate is the only place where this can end. The last hope of reopening the government before millions of Americans go hungry. They've abandoned their post.
Estates are not theatrical. They're practical, personal, patriotic. They are whether the wealthiest nation on earth can keep a promise to feed kids, to treat illness, to stabilize a paycheck, to respect the institutions that protect rights without fear or favor. They are whether we let a small group trade our future for their fun. So I'll end where we began, a tale of two nights in America. One night, alarms and uncertainty in DC, another, a costume party in Palm Beach named after the lie that parties never hurt anyone. They do when the party is paid for by your silence, your benefits, your democracy. The antidote isn't anger alone. It's attention, persistence, and a stubborn belief that public power belongs to the public. We don't need gold taps. We need good government. That's the choice, and it's still ours.